All right, welcome to the return of Stupid People Talk Sports. We're finally back. It's been a while and a few different faces. We're here with X and Joe. They're going to be with us, and we'll probably see Joey and Jake coming back sometime soon in the future. But for this first episode, this first video podcast, we're going to be talking about the NFL playoffs and the future of the basically landscape of the NFL and who's going to win the Super Bowl. We're also be recapping the BCS championship game, and we're going to talk about the top play of the week, and we'll be doing that every single week. So to start off, we'll recap the BCS championship game. You guys corrected me on this earlier. I don't even know what it's called. The NCAA football title. What just happened?
FBS.
The FBS. The FBS. Yeah. The NCAA football title was won last night by Georgia in a kind of a low-scoring game for the first half, a low-scoring game for the first three quarters, I'd say. And then it kind of blew up, and Georgia ran away with it. But, Joe, you mentioned this earlier. It was Alabama's game to lose originally, and it seemed like they had it in control. It seemed like they were locking Georgia down. It seemed like they knew what they were doing, and we thought it was going to be a repeat. They just couldn't get the ball in the end zone. And when the one team finally got the ball in the end zone, it started to things started to get really interesting, and the score kind of went up very quickly. Joe, since I know you watched the full game, and probably paid a lot of attention to it because I know you're a huge football fan, what do you think? What are your thoughts on that? What did you see? What are your takeaways from that game?
So I think the game really changed when Jameson Williams went down. I was really disappointed to see him go down there already without Mechie too. And those are the two biggest targets for Bryce Young the whole season. Two guys I know I'm looking at in my dynasty league too as like rookie draft picks in the first round coming up this coming year. And I was disappointed to see him go down. The game changed a lot. It was already a rock fight kind of before that, but Bama was moving the ball pretty efficiently. And the minute that happened, I kind of could sense it. Bryce Young was throwing to a lot of guys. That true freshman that came into, but he just wasn't there yet. You could tell there's no like camaraderie, no chemistry between any of Bryce Young's receivers and Bryce Young. And they couldn't run the ball all that well, a couple of big runs. But it was just because Robinson's a good back, but he's not Najee Harris. You know, he's not going to be out there running for $150 on 20 carries against a good defense like Georgia. I mean, we all forget how good Georgia was, and Georgia was Bama, how we perceive Bama this season until Bama beat them in the SEC championship game. And I looked at it and I was like, watching the game, it was so frustrating because I was like kind of rooting for Bama. I got a buddy that went down there. He's a big Bama fan. And it was frustrating to watch because they couldn't get anything. There's no separation with any of his receivers. And then once Georgia scored that first touchdown, I was like, oh no, it's going to be tough for Bama. Bama answered quickly. They got that really weird, like, I don't know if you guys saw it, like that fumble. It almost looked like his arm was going forward, but it kind of wasn't. It's weird. It was definitely one of those college rules, kind of different from the NFL. It was the ball wasn't 100% control, so it definitely kind of, I guess, was a fumble. But really weird, this recovery. It was laissez-faire catching it.
So casual and very lucky. He didn't think it was a fumble. I don't think anybody on the field thought it was a fumble, to be honest with you. It was very casually caught it. But yeah, that fumble was interesting. They talked about that for like good 10, 15 minutes while it was live too. But continue. Yeah.
That Stetson Bennett dart he threw, like that 30, 40-yard bomb he threw for the touchdown, I was really worried for Bama at that point. I was like, oh no. And they couldn't recover at that point. Georgia stole the game. I think there was a lot of motivation to play for. They hadn't won 40 years. Kirby Smart too, always kind of Saban's always had his number. Bama just embarrassed them in the SEC championship game, and then everyone they talked about all week was the 2017 championship and how Georgia was like in Bama's position. They were winning the whole game. They were leading. They were in control. They controlled the line of scrimmage. Everything was going Georgia's way. And Bama stole at the end when Tua came in through the touchdown to Devontae Smith in overtime. But yeah, it was just Georgia had a lot going for them. They had a lot to play for. Bama just kind of one of those teams where it's like they're so good every year. Where, like what more do you have to play for? I know a lot of those guys are young and they want to win too. Different players, same program, different players every year. The only constant is Nick Saban. But because coordinators are always going to like Bill O'Brien, like he'll be gone coaching some shitty NFL team in about 2 weeks. But yeah, it's Georgia just way outplayed them, and it was interesting to see. I think Bama will be back next year. I think Georgia pulled their LSU and peaked. They'll be decent for the next few years, but that'll be it.
Hopefully Georgia sticks around. It'd be nice to see someone actually compete against Bama consistently. It'd be nice to see more teams be able to like take that away from Alabama, because as fun as it is to see Alabama win every year, I would also like to see some different teams. I'd like to see it be more competitive. Obviously, that's the goal. That's what you'd like to see with all sports at all levels. Because imagine if, for example, in the NCAA men's March Madness tournament, if Duke Kentucky's not as good as they used to be, but imagine if Duke won every single year, how boring that would get year in and year out. We saw how boring it was for the women's basketball, where UConn would win every single year. But X, do you have any thoughts on this game? I know you didn't really watch it, but do you have any thoughts on it?
My only thought is kind of what Joe said at the end there, and what you were saying again, that it's the same team. It's like I feel like I'm always watching a team trying to beat Alabama for the championship, and it is good to see that Georgia's been around for a while. Like Georgia's been one of the top teams for a while. They just took the next step. Like they won the championship. So now where do they go from there? They gotta keep going. They gotta win another one. They gotta at least be in the conversation for the next 3, 4, 5 years. Or like, as you mentioned, they're just going to be another LSU who just wins and then it's done against them. So even like you can argue even Clemson too. Like Clemson won and now they're kind of just mediocre this year. We got to see what happens next. But I think it was a great stepping point for Georgia. The fact that they did win that championship. As Joe mentioned, they had a lot to play for that. Like it goes back to a couple of years ago, not just this year. But let's see what happens next. And there's a lot of teams that are trying to step up. Even Michigan, they stepped up big this year. I know Jim Harbaugh's probably going to get a job in the NFL. There's ton of options. So, but and then Ohio State's one of those teams that's going to bounce back. They have one off year, but they're still in it every single year. Hopefully one of these Pac-12 teams can actually step up, because they're kind of falling down to that group of 5 level. So,
yeah, the one thing I can say that it seems like Georgia has done is that their team was a very good defensive team. From the looks of it, it looks like that their defense was kind of like the heart and soul of that team, especially in this game, because their defense stuck with it. And when they lost to Bama the first time, their defense was on the field too much. And I think once you're on the field too much, especially against a team like Alabama, you just get tired. Alabama's got a lot of fast people. Bryce Young, he's a fast guy, and he's Heisman QB. So if you're going up against him over and over again, he's going to find a way to slice you up. And I think that's what happened to them in the first game. I think the reason why a lot of these teams kind of like fall off, like Clemson and LSU did, is because their offenses are what carry them. And like you could lose your QB, like LSU and Clemson both did when Joe Burrow and Trevor Lawrence left, and clearly their team started falling apart, and like their top receivers. When you have like 2 guys that just carry your team, you're not going to be able to recover from that when they're gone. When they're the leaders and they've been there for a while and they leave, it's kind of like you have to start all over again. So to have a basis of a team that's built defensively, where it's defense is not just one guy, it's a core, it's a group of guys. then I think it's going to be easier for you to stay up at the level you are. So it'd be nice to see Georgia stay there. Definitely cool to see that. But enough college football. We have some bigger things to talk about. The real football starts now. It starts this weekend, and it's the NFL playoffs wildcard weekend. I asked you guys to make your picks, but we're gonna go down the list per game in the order that the games are gonna happen. So, but before I do that, I gotta, since it's the new year, I got some bubbly to kick off our new season, new year of Stupid People Talk Sports. I've been waiting to do this. I should have done it at the start of the show. Just top it off, and then now we can talk about the Super Bowl football. First, we got the Raiders versus the Bengals. AFC wildcard, 4:30 on a Saturday. Joe, X, what are your picks? Raiders, Bengals? Joe, let's kick it off with you.
I think this was an interesting game to pick. I'm going to go with the Bengals because they're at home. I mean, I got worries about the Bengals. I don't think their defense is anything special. And Joe Burrow, he hurt his leg too, or excuse me, his knee. So, I mean, there's always questions about that, but what he's going to look like. And obviously, naturally, you got a young team, a very young team, and for them to hop into the playoffs, and the Bengals haven't won a playoff game since the early 90s. So, like, it's been a long time, man. And the last time the streak started, the streak that they haven't won started with the Raiders in the 90s. So maybe this is it. Maybe this is where everything changes. But I don't know. It's going to be a good game. I think Derek Carr can sling it. He doesn't have a crazy amount of weapons. Darren Waller's been in and out of the lineup this year. So we'll see what happens with that. Josh Jacobs, same thing. But I think he's healthy right now, so it's good for them. I think being at home is a big factor. I think Cincinnati's got good fans there, so I think that'll help. And the Raiders, they play in a dome, but they're also in Vegas too, where I feel like it's during the day it's ridiculously hot there. I think you're not used to that cold environment. It's going to be cold up along the Northeast and into the Midwest and stuff like that. And this we got a big cold front coming through, so I think it'll be interesting to see the game. But I do think the Bengals will squeak it out in the end. I think you look at like a 27-23 sort of game for the Bengals.
27-23 for the Bengals. I mean, hey, if the Raiders do come in there and win on the road, then they're going to be making a big statement, and it'd be nice to see them do something. Hopefully it's a good game. X, what are your thoughts on that game? Who do you pick?
I personally have the Bengals in this game, but I honestly think the Raiders can steal this one. I think they have a lot to play for this season. I mean, the fact that they're even in the playoffs for them is honestly like big for them. Like they started off great, and then a lot happened, and then they were kind of down. Everybody thought, okay, they're probably not going to make the playoffs. But even those last two games, they stepped up big. Was it Colts and then Chargers? Like those are two big wins. I mean, the Colts choked, but it's a story for another day. But I think they stepped up big late in the season, and I think they're going to try to carry the momentum in this game and probably just steal one. So I do think Cincinnati's going to battle it out and squeak one by. I think it's going to be a very close game. Like I'm thinking like 24-22 type of thing. Like I think it's going to be very close. And it's going to probably come down to like a field goal, to be honest. So that's how I see this one going.
Well, I think you guys are both wrong. It's going to be the Raiders. I'd love to see the Raiders just go out there and stomp out Cincinnati. I was in the comments on a post about the playoffs on Instagram, and the Cincinnati fans are kind of, at least on Instagram, not the most pleasant people. So I hope the Raiders bring them down to earth and, go Vegas. It'd be nice to see the Raiders just pop off for their
people from Vegas are, sweethearts.
People from Vegas are great people, and half the Raiders fans in Vegas aren't even from Vegas. They're just people going to visit that place, going to see a football game. Have you seen their stadium? It's a shame that they're not hosting a game. It's a shame they're not hosting a game. But yeah, let's go Raiders. Hopefully they'll win, and I can't wait till we're here and I'm dead wrong and the Raiders got blown out 52-0. But moving forward to the 8:15 p.m. game on Saturday, where it's going to be the Patriots versus the Bills in Buffalo. As a Pats fans, the three of us, we all hope the Patriots win. But is that what you guys think? We'll start with you, X. Do you think the Patriots are going to be winning this Saturday?
Yes, I do. I think the Patriots can.
And now it's time to mute X. No.
Okay, but I think the Patriots can win this game for sure. I think Bill is gonna craft up something. Because he's gonna have to craft up something crazy. I mean, obviously not too crazy, but like I think him and Josh McDaniels, they're gonna get something done on the offensive side. The big question obviously is how do we stop Josh Allen, and it's gonna be I think it's huge that we keep him in the pocket as much as possible. The second he gets out of there, he can create all types of havoc with both his legs for like he can get like 35 yards in one play. Next thing you know, it's a completely different drive on like a third down. Or he can scramble out and find Diggs somewhere across the field for like 40 yards instantly. And it changes the whole like we can stop him first, second down because they struggle to run the ball. But once it's third down, then sometimes our defense, especially Patty Mills, to be honest, it's always him. I swear, it's always him. It's always Patty Mills. But somehow they find a way to make plays on third down. So I think the Patriots defense is going to step up big. I think what they didn't. I went to the game in New England. I went to that game, and Judon didn't rush much. He didn't really rush at Josh Allen. He was kind of playing like a spot. But I think if they rush Judon a lot more, I think he'll make an impact. I think I think one of the strategies they should go is really have him go after Josh Allen. But that's my personal opinion. I think the Pats win. I think it's going to be kind of a low scoring game, though. I think it's going to be like another like 17-14 type game.
Well, I mean, I'd love to see the Pats win. Love to see them win. I mean, obviously, as a Pats fan, I'd love to see them go all the way to the Super Bowl. It'd be great, especially to see Mac Jones do in his first year. I actually watched Matt Judon today on Just Love Like Family Feud. Pretty good episode. Joe, what are your thoughts?
I'll have to check that one out, Trey. So the Patriots have this whole season been a good running team. They run the ball very, very well. And you've seen it in the two games against Buffalo. They ran the ball down their throats in the first meeting. Mac Jones literally wasn't a part of the game plan. And they pretty much relied on him to, make checks to the line, change protections, change, like the blocking schemes, whatever. And that's all they did. He threw the ball 3 times. And the Patriots ran with success. And then they lost. Actually, you said you were at the game. They lost the second one in New England, but they still averaged 5.5 yards per carry. So I think that'll be a big part of the game plan. I think Mac will throw more. I think you'll see him throw like 10 to 15 times in the game. Very cold. They're looking at potentially with the wind chill and like -5 with some snow potentially coming through. So that's a big advantage for the Patriots. They're a lot more physical. They're one of the more physical teams in the NFL. That's going to be huge. That being said, I got the Bills win. And I say that because I think it being at home for Buffalo says a lot. Bills Mafia is real. I used to make fun of it a lot because they would just break tables and then Brady would throw for 5 touchdowns and the game would be over in the second quarter. I always thought that was hilarious. Bills Mafia is real. And that's going to be a big, big factor in the game. It was the Monday night game they played, but luckily it didn't matter much. It was Mac talking to his offensive line, and that was it. And N'Keal Harry out there blocking. Like, you won't see Wilkerson at all in this game. He's not getting activated. It's going to be N'Keal Harry. They're going to block a lot. But you saw what happened last week in Miami with the RPOs and how much the Patriots struggled immensely. That was Tua. Tua is not very good. He's fast, but he's not very good. He's good with those slants. It's it. It's slants, RPO, and a couple of rushes up the middle. That's all Miami did. And they torched the Patriots all day. And the Patriots struggle with that RPO. And I don't know if you guys watched the second half of that Tampa-Buffalo game 2 weeks ago. Buffalo got that RPO game going, and they haven't looked back since. And the RPO has been the biggest part of their game, and Josh Allen is playing like the MVP candidate that he is. And that's scary. Not that it's not going to be a close game. I think it'll be a very close game. I think that it might be like a 23-20 score. But I do think that Buffalo will control the football. Devin Singletary is running like a legitimate running back right now, and I make fun of him all the time. But I think that it's going to be really hard for the Patriots to stop them. I really don't. I don't really see many situations where the Patriots win this game, unfortunately, unless Mac Jones comes out and is just on his game and he's slinging the ball. But I don't even see that. They get the play action going, they can beat Buffalo, but that's just about it. And I think Mac's too young to do this. That's all it is. If they get past Buffalo and they go to Tennessee next week, yeah, I think they can beat Tennessee throwing the football and running it a little bit. But I don't see Mac being able to do that against this really good Buffalo secondary. The second best defense in football behind your own. But they got the MVP quarterback and you got a rookie. That's the difference, man.
Yeah. Round up the wagons, pull up the tables because the Bills Mafia is coming through. They're probably going to end up winning. I don't really think that nothing against the Patriots, nothing against Mac Jones. It's just you proved enough. You proved enough. You don't have to prove much more. You proved enough. Don't have to prove much more. Especially like you said, Joe, it's an MVP. It's an MVP candidate right here. And it's a Super Bowl contending team. Let's be real. The Bills are a Super Bowl contending team. They fell apart during like the middle of the season for some reason, and they gave the Patriots like the hope that they could win the division. But the Bills are more experienced. Their process to getting to the Super Bowl is more down the line than Patriots currently are. And Patriots fans, nothing to be ashamed. This should be a season we look back on and think, wow, this is the start of a fantastic team. And I'm already looking to next year. I'm excited to see what happens next year for the Patriots. I'm excited to see where Mac Jones goes. I'm excited to see where Damian Harris and Stevenson take us because the Patriots are a run-heavy team this season. That was the strong point. And unfortunately, I just don't think that's going to be enough to beat the Bills. I don't think our defense will be enough to beat the Bills this week because our offense isn't going to be able to keep up with the Bills' offense against their defense. And as I mentioned, nothing against Mac Jones. It's your first season. If you do win, then good for you, bro. You're probably going to become one of the best QBs of all time with that confidence behind you. But let's move on to the first NFC matchup in the first Sunday game. It's an early one, 1 p.m. God, no one's going to watch this because it's going to be a blowout. The Bucs are going to be playing the Eagles. Sorry, Philly fans, but Tom Brady's going to destroy you. I'd love to see the Eagles win this, actually. But X, what are your thoughts? Who do you think is going to win? And
I think Tampa wins this game. I think it's going to be closer than people think. Ish. Look at my score, but I think Tom Brady's still a little pissed. So I think he'll definitely be slinging it. I'm a little worried because a lot of Tampa's culture has been a little tainted a little bit for obvious reasons, Antonio Brown, but I think Tom Brady will easily get over that when it comes down to it. So I think Tampa kind of gets this one. I think Eagles fight hard. I do think they kind of have something going with their offense and Jalen Hurts at times. I think I see their defense step up at times, but I think the Tampa Bay is just going to be too much for them. So I think it's going to be more like a, say, 28-20 game, 2019, like make it a 2-score game. So
generous. Yeah, no, we'll see. I hope it's a close one. Joe, it's clear that you are definitely favoriting Tom Brady to win this game, but how do you think it's going to play out?
No bias here, of course. No, the Bucs are going to win the game. I actually agree with that. I think it's going to be closer than people think. I think the first half will be an adjustment for the Bucs. I think that they're still adjusting and changing their game plan. I think that they're not an explosive, high octane offense anymore. That's why I'm worried about them when they do eventually get to an NFC title game against the Packers, or maybe even a round 2 against the Rams or the Cardinals, like one of those two teams. Those are two very good offenses. But I think they're adjusting. They're going to run the ball a little more. They're going to get Leonard Fournette back, so that's big for them. But defensively, I think they're going to shut down the Eagles. I don't really see Devontae Smith so young. Goddard's a good tight end, but he's not a game changer. He's not Kittle. He's not Kelsey or Gronk or old Gronk. He's not going to change the game. I think the Eagles will be, let's say they'll be down by 6-7 at halftime. But I think as the game goes on, I think you'll see the Bucs pull away. I'm looking at more of like the score is not going to dictate how close it is, because I think the Bucs will win like a 41-20 game, but like that's like a late touchdown or two. It's like a 2-possession game. The Phillies starting to use timeouts, and the Bucs just ice it, sort of thing. So I think the Bucs will win. The score will look a lot handier than it actually is, but I think it'll look good on the score sheet for the Bucs, and they're going to go on to the second round.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I think the Bucs are going to win. I just don't think that the Eagles are experienced enough for this game. Obviously, Tom Brady, this defending Super Bowl champions, and the guy that honestly could win another MVP this year at the QB for the Bucs. Again, for the Eagles, this is more of a game where it's like you don't really have much to prove here. Just go out there and don't play terrible. This is more of like gaining experience kind of type of game for you at this point. You got your best players are like your youngest players. So with Jalen Hurts and Devontae Smith, you just hope that they go out there and just learn from this experience. That's all you can really hope for. Then moving on to the 4:30 game, 49ers versus Cowboys. I could care less about this game. Cowboys, 49ers, who cares? They're not going to the Super Bowl anyways. They're going to get rolled by the next team they play. But what are your guys' thoughts on 49ers versus Cowboys? Garoppolo versus Dak. Is Garoppolo even playing? Is he healthy? Who cares? They're going to lose. Joe, X, yeah. Either one. Just jump in. X, you go with it.
All right. Well, I think this is actually going to be a very interesting game to watch, at least. I think it's going to be a very close game until the end. I think the 49ers pull up the upset. Probably on like a late field goal or something, but like I see like watching Jimmy Garoppolo like actually get it done against the Rams when they needed it the most, literally. I think that was impressive. And I think if you look back at like, yeah, Jimmy Garoppolo is not the best quarterback, but like he wins games with this team. Like he wins, like they made it to a Super Bowl like 2 years ago. He's a good enough quarterback to at least get past like what I think is an overrated defense in the Cowboys. So that's my opinion, but I think it's going to be a very close game. I'm thinking probably like a 32-28 type game.
Joe, your thoughts?
So this was probably the second hardest game for me, like to pick this weekend. The Niners are getting healthy and kind of hot at the right time, and I was kind of picking them for when the matchup was released. I was like, the Niners are winning the game, and I had some time to think about it, and I do think the Cowboys are going to win, but I really think that it might be one of those like games where the Cowboys do not look good for the first 3 quarters, and they're just there, like down by 10. Garoppolo's not a game changer. He's not a gunslinger. He's not going to destroy everybody. The Niners run the ball more than everybody else in the NFL. Everybody else. And I think that this is my prediction. I think in the third quarter, it'll be like 20-10, or like a 23-14 sort of thing. But the Cowboys, because they're built for it, they have two running backs that, although they can run the ball very effectively, they both can receive the ball as well, very, very well. And they have two, not three anymore, two because Michael Gallup tore his ACL, so he's done. But they got two legitimate receivers. They have a decent tight end. They can go down the field. They can win the game. Dak is a great player. And I always like the crap on the Cowboys because it's so much fun. But it just, I don't know. I think the Cowboys are going to pull it out. I think their defense has significantly improved. Micah Parsons is like the best rookie defender, like one of the best I've ever seen. Like he's ridiculous. But I think that they're going to pull it out. They'll get to Garoppolo toward the end. And the fact that the Niners can't push the ball on the field quickly is going to be their downfall. So I got the Cowboys winning like let's call it a 30-27. 30-27. That's a good score. We'll call it that.
Yeah, I kind of want to see the Cowboys win because I want to see Diggs get a pick six to end the game. That'd be pretty sweet. I'm calling it right now. Pick six to end the game. Cowboys win. I'll wear a cowboy hat next week when we talk about this. Moving forward, we're going to talk about Big Ben and his last game in the NFL because they're not beating the Chiefs. That's obvious. Some of these seem really obvious on who's going to win. But Steelers versus Chiefs. What are your guys' thoughts? Yeah, what are you guys' thoughts on this one? Joe. Oh, X. Either one. I don't care.
I think the Chiefs absolutely steamroll the Steelers. Like, I think it's going to be, like, bad. Like, I think the Chiefs – I don't think Big Ben's going to throw, like, 3 picks or anything like that. But, like, I think it's going to be, like, a 48 to 20-something game. Like 48 to 20, that's what I'll say. Like, I think it's gonna be bad, but because I think the Chiefs want to send a message. I think this is the perfect. This team is the perfect chance.
You just said you don't think it's gonna be that bad, and then you said the Chiefs are gonna drop 50.
It's not gonna look. Yeah. Well, I'm sticking.
I get what you're saying, X. I do.
Yeah, but I think. Yeah, I think this Chiefs are going to try to send a message against this team. Like, we're ready for this playoff. This is playoff time. It's ready to go. But I think Mahomes just goes off. 500 yards at least. No.
It's not going to be that bad. The Chiefs are going to get 50 points. Mahomes is going to have 500 yards at least. But it's not going to be that bad.
This dude goes, Mahomes is going to go off 500 at least. Like he's disrespecting the Steelers so much that he thinks Mahomes is going to try to break Brady's all-time playoff passing record.
But it's not going to be that bad. It's not going to be that bad.
Yeah, exactly.
Steelers aren't great, but come on, X. Disrespecting Big Ben in his last game, bro. All right, Joe, what are your thoughts on this one?
I think I kind of agree with X here. I think that it's not going to be like it's not going to be. They literally played like 2-3 weeks ago.
Do you agree it's going to be a 48 to 20 game, but it's not going to be that bad?
I actually
100% yards.
I 100% agree with X. What he said is going to be like a wide margin score. I don't think 48 to 20. I'm not even going to give the Steelers that many points, but but
it's
I think
48 to 7.
The game will feel closer than a 35-point win. But like it's so what I'll say is the Steelers were down like I think it was like 40-3 at some point or 45-3, something ridiculous. Like 2-3 weeks ago. And I was watching it. It was just the worst game I've ever watched in my life. Like I was watching it and I was playing Mahomes in the league too, and it was just disgusting. And I was so pissed. But I think the Steelers are gonna get like it'll be like a 38 to like 13 game. I think it'll be like 2 late touchdowns for the Chiefs. Maybe like one of those games where like at halftime it's like 24-10, and you're like, okay, the Steelers need a stop or two, and they're there. But they won't get it, and they'll get pieced in the second half. And you're like, okay, well, at least the Steelers put a little bit of a fight in there. The Steelers play like rock fights. That's like their motto. Is what they do. They try to beat the crap out of you. I think the Chiefs are just too good, and you'll see it. And yeah, Mahomes is still the best player in the NFL. So that's it.
Yeah. Chiefs destroy Steelers. Goodbye, Big Ben. It was a pleasure having you. See you on the sidelines or whatever you're gonna do. See you in the freaking booth for an analyst show. See you on Eli and Peyton's Monday Night Football show next year, like 6 times. So now we're gonna talk about the Cardinals versus the Rams. Monday Night Football, 8:15 p.m. Is this the last game of Monday Night Football? Last game of Monday Night Football. Oh man, what a year it's been! Some great Monday Night Football games. So this means it's the last game of Peyton and Eli. That sucks. It sucks. I love that show. Hopefully Big Ben's on it. Let's break this down. Not Steelers, goddamn. It's stuck in my head. Cardinals, Rams, LA, Arizona. It's gonna be in LA. I'm just gonna give my brief opinion on this. The Rams probably gonna JJ Watt's back, so who knows? But I think the Rams probably gonna win this one. Joe, what are your thoughts?
I don't like picking all the home teams ever in any sport, but I'm about to do it. I think the Rams are gonna win, and I think that the whole wild card set is gonna be chalk, and I think that I think the Rams, although they've kind of been iffy, are still really good. And I think Odell is finally starting to come into his own there. I think the defense is still really, really good. Got a lot of big names on it. I mean, Aaron Donald is probably like, other than Patrick Mahomes, the best player in the NFL. Like what he does on like consistent game in and game out basis is just ridiculous. Like he'd like bench presses offensive linemen that weigh like 350 pounds. It's ridiculous. And I think the Rams will do enough to slow down the Cardinals. I'm interested to see how DeAndre Hopkins gets integrated back into the offense. I think taking all that time off is going to be hard for him to bring him. I think they might force the ball to him a little too much, especially if they get down early. I think Stafford, the Rams brought in Stafford so they could win these games in the playoffs. They didn't bring him in to make them a 3 seed or a 2 seed, because they were the 2 seed until they blew the game against the Niners. They didn't bring him in to be that. They brought him in to take them to the Super Bowl. And 4 or 5 weeks into the season, that's what everyone said they were going to do. They're going to roll. They smoked the Bucs when the Bucs, people were talking 16-0 and Brady throwing 60 touchdowns this year for the Bucs. And they smoked them, and that's when everyone changed their narrative on the Bucs and said, okay, maybe they're not as good as the Rams, or maybe the Packers will bounce back, and they clearly have. But they brought Stafford in. I don't think Stafford's going to disappoint. I think Stafford's going to have a good game. That being said, I still think the Cardinals are going to keep it close. It was the toughest game to pick for me, even though I sound pretty decisive when I say I'm picking the Rams. I just think that it makes it a lot easier for the Cardinals considering the Rams don't have a fan base, and LA fans are awful at rooting for football teams. And I really hope that they develop one in the next few years as they get better and they stay relevant, even though they have no draft picks for the next 30 years because they keep trading all of them. But they have maybe the MVP of the National Football League at receiver. They have a legitimate quarterback now. Jared Goff is terrible. And they have weapons everywhere, man. They should win this game. There's no excuse for them not to. The Cardinals are really good. They kind of arrived a year early, but I think that when push comes to shove, the Rams' talent will get them over the hump. Next week in Tampa will be the real big-time Stafford test when you go to Tampa and try to take down the Bucs and Tom Brady, which people seem to they just can't do. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. But I'm excited for the game. It should be a lot of fun, a lot of fireworks. I'm looking at I think it'll be the highest scoring game of the weekend for both teams. I think I'll do like a 35-14 31 score. Rams win.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's gonna be a fun game to watch. X, what are your thoughts? What do you think's gonna happen?
I 100% agree with Joe. I think the Rams should win this game. I think they have the firepower to win this game. I think we saw that Arizona's kind of cooled off towards the end of the season. And I think that it's just a little too soon for Arizona to kind of make a run in the playoffs. I feel like the Rams, once again, as Joe mentioned, like they got Stafford for these reasons to kind of win these games that they should win. And I think the big test is going to be the next round. But for now, I think they win in a pretty tight one. Honestly, I think it's going to be closer than people think. I think it's going to be like a very close one-score game. I'm thinking like probably like 27-24 ish, like that. But I think the Rams. I think it's going to seem like it's going to seem like it's bigger. It's going to be a bigger gap than that, but it's going to end in a close game. I think the Rams they go in there. They're home. They have SoFi Stadium. I think those Ram fans are they're pretty proud of their team. Honestly, they're going to be very hyped for that game. Arizona fans are probably. I think they kind of know that they have a tough one ahead of them. So I think the Rams kind of win this one easy. Not easy, but 27-24.
Yeah, I think it's gonna have to be some magic from Murray and JJ Watt coming back. Who knows if that's going to be that much of a difference maker? But I think Murray's going to have to bring the heat, going to have to bring some magic if they want to win, because the Rams, their defense is just stellar. Donald he's something else. Like Joe was mentioning, that guy's a freaking beast. And Odell and Cooper Kupp, those two together, it's just like Cooper Kupp alone, man. I don't know. Him alone, just the Rams have been on another level. Cooper Kupp should be considered for MVP way more than he has been. But yeah, I think the Rams, they're probably gonna walk out of this one with not much like change in their minds that they should be walking to the Super Bowl, because I think that's what they think. I think they know they should go to the Super Bowl, or at least they should be like one of the two teams from the NFC that play to go to the Super Bowl. And I think this should not be a game they worry about, but they shouldn't just brush it off. They definitely need to put out for the celebrities that are going to be showing up to this game, because it's going to be a playoff game in LA. So we know that there's going to be a lot of celebrities there. And if the Rams lose, they're kind of a joke. And the Chargers should have made the playoffs. F the Raiders. Moving forward, we made our picks for the week one. Now it's time to make our picks for the Super Bowl. Who do we think is going to be Super Bowl champs? We're not going to talk about the two teams going to the Super Bowl. We're just going to pick champions. And we'll do this each week because obviously I could pick the Chiefs and they could somehow lose to the Steelers this week, which that's not going to happen. But we'll go with X. Who do you think is going to be Super Bowl champion this year?
I honestly hate to say it, but I think it's going to be the Kansas City Chiefs. I think.
Good man. I
mean, they're starting off with a cakewalk, honestly. I think they're gonna have, and then they're gonna have a couple games. They are gonna have a couple games where they're gonna have to duke it out. Like they're gonna have to really earn the win. But especially in the Super Bowl, I think they're really gonna earn that win. But I think the Chiefs are still a very overpowered team right now, and I think the defense has played a lot better than they have in past seasons. So I think they're my Super Bowl favorites.
Joe, who do you think is going to win the Super Bowl?
See, I was going to take the Chiefs, but honestly, the team about to pick, I kind of am more
Bad
angry.
man.
I am picking the bad man. I'm picking the Packers and Aaron Rodgers to win the Super Bowl. I think that it's bound to happen. I think it's going to be Bucks and Packers in the AFC title game. I think that's going to be the hump that Aaron Rodgers gets over. Once he gets there, I know Mahomes is going
Bro,
to be
Rodgers
sitting
gonna have
there.
Omicron by the time the Super Bowl hits, and then Jordan Love's gonna be playing for them. So
They're going to put him in a legitimate bubble and say, do not leave. Don't go to media days. Stay by yourself. You have no family to hang out with. Just chill. All right. Like it's what you got to do. Honestly, right? Like I think that Rodgers has been too good for 2 years now to not go to the Super Bowl one time. I don't think he's going to get there and not throw for 4 touchdowns and 400 yards. I don't think it'll happen. He's going to torch the NFC. Other than whoever's the 4 or 5 seed that plays Green Bay or Tampa, depending on if the Niners win. Whoever he plays, when Rodgers gets to play Tom Brady in the NFC title game, I think it'll be a shootout again. But I do not think anyone's stopping the Packers. They are built for this. They got a defense for it. They're getting healthy at the right time. They've been relatively healthy the whole year, but they're getting ready to do this. They're gonna go on a run. They're gonna win the Super Bowl, and I don't like saying it because I think Aaron Rodgers is a shithead. But like, I don't see a situation in which they don't win. The Chiefs are great. I think they'll be playing them in the Super Bowl. I think that we might get the same shootout Super Bowl that we thought we were going to get last year, because last year everyone's called it the greatest matchup of all time. We're going to see a 41-38 game, which didn't happen. The Chiefs couldn't get out of their own way. But I think this year you're really going to see the Packers Chiefs meet up. I know you say you don't want matchups, but that's the only way I can get to my conclusion. They're going to meet up, and I think Rodgers are going to torch the earth, and he'll win number 2. And I think he might walk off into the sunset after that.
yeah, walk off into the sunset and go play for a team that's going to pay him a ton of money to be QB, because I don't think he's retiring. But I think he's definitely going to be leaving Green Bay, win or lose, this year. That's almost a guarantee. He's probably going to end up playing like freaking Chicago.
Can you imagine that? That'd be the wildest turn of events ever. Who's he gonna go throw to there? Mooney and a skeleton of Allen Robinson? Like, what the hell did I got there?
I mean,
nothing.
He's gonna be going somewhere, because I don't think he's staying in Green Bay, and I don't think he wants to retire. So
Miami. That'd be a good place for him.
yeah, walk off into the sunset. I'd hate that, especially as a Pats fan, dude. The AFC East will be the most dominant. This is the AFC East. That's what we're in, right?
Yeah.
The most dominant division in sports, bro. It will be, if he goes to the Dolphins, my God, the Jets are never going to win a game. Exactly. The Jets are screwed.
Yeah, they might as well just petition to switch divisions with the Colts again. Be like, hey, Andy, can we change? We'll just hop into the South. It's not a big deal. I know we're in New York, but we'll just hop in there. It's not a big deal. Relax.
All right. So I guess that brings me to my pick. And I was looking through this, and I was thinking to myself, who would I love to see go to the Super Bowl? Obviously the Patriots, but I don't think they're going to make it past the Bills, unfortunately. But that made me think, how great would it be to finally see the Bills win a Super Bowl?
Pick.
But I'd rather see them go and lose for the 5th time. And I'd rather –
that would be – what about Tom Brady?
As much as I don't think the Bucs are actually going to win, that would make my entire life. If the Bills destroyed the Patriots and they're like, oh, we're going to the Super Bowl, and then Tom Brady beats them again.
Not just beats them, just absolutely destroys them. Like kerosene and matches would be the most popular thing bought in local Home Depots in the Buffalo area.
No. But in all seriousness, I think it's going to be Patrick Mahomes. I think he's going to lead them. I think this is his redemption season. I think people were writing them off at the start of the season. They're like, oh, the Chiefs aren't the same. Patrick Mahomes losing it. I remember I had a conversation with someone, and they're like, Patrick Mahomes really isn't as great as we thought he was, huh? And I was like, just you wait. Just you wait. He'll be the greatest QB of all time. I've been saying this since the second he won his first Super Bowl. Joe, you were there. Wait, were you? Yeah, you were there.
Yeah, we watched in the room together.
We watched together. And I said, after they won, I was like, Patrick Mahomes is the best QB of all time. And he will continue that run. 3 straight years in the Super Bowl. 3 straight years. 50 years, Patty Mahomes. 50 years. 50 seasons. Super Bowl champs. All right. Enough football talk. it's time to talk about some real athletes, specifically the play of the week. I think we all agree what the play of the week was, right? We agree on this one.
Yeah, we did.
Unless you guys have anything else that popped in your head since we talked about it. But cue the clip of John Morant just being superhuman and literally flying like he is a baby Superman, because that's what he did when he went up and ripped the ball out of the air against the Lakers, which the Memphis Grizzlies ended up beating. John Morant ripped the ball out of the air on the fast break, blocked Avery Bradley, and then later on became Superman again and flew for this alley-oop dunk. It was an alley-oop dunk, right? I don't even know. He was in the air for so long. I just assumed that someone passed him the ball while he was up there. But that's the play of the week. Obviously, we'll do a play of the week every single week. And the clip's in there. You just saw it, because I'll edit it in. That's what I do. So every single week we'll do a play of the week. It'll be from every single different sport. Maybe we'll get some like cricket plays or something. Those are always fun to watch because I don't understand how that game works. So just
why not, man? Let's put some cricket in there. Can we get some
Cricket.
Quidditch in there too, bro?
Quidditch.
I kind of need some.
If you can find a Quidditch play that deserves to be play of the week, I will make sure it's play of the week.
I'm gonna start looking up Seeker highlights, YouTube.
If you can find a Quidditch play that's play of the week, then it will be the play of the week.
I pull a clip from like Harry Potter. Does like that work too?
Right. It's just gonna be a quick clip of Harry.
Because Harry swallowed one, bro, and that might have been like a top 5 play of all time. Like we're talking like David Tyree helmet catch, Harry swallowing, and the golden snitch.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Before we start talking more about Harry Potter, that's gonna be it for Stupid People Talk Sports. The return of Stupid People Talk Sports. We'll be here every week. We'll be here next week breaking down the second round of the NFL playoffs. What's that? The divisional round? I don't even know anymore. They have too many teams in the playoffs now. But we'll break down the divisional round next week. We'll talk about the NBA trade deadlines coming up, right? Isn't that like a couple weeks? So we'll probably be talking about that. February, yeah. So we'll be talking about that. We'll have a special episode for that again. And we'll break down all the big news and stuff that happens over the next coming week. And we will obviously have another play of the week. So thanks for watching and thanks for sticking around to the end. And we'll see you guys next week. Bye.